What are the risk factors for coronary heart disease? Well, numero uno is low aerobic fitness. Cardiorespiratory fitness, CRF, index is the single biggest risk factor in coronary heart disease. It exceeds the risk from hypertension. It exceeds the risk of abnormal blood lipids and lipoproteins. It exceeds the risk of abnormal carbohydrate mechanisms and insulin sensitivity. It increases the risk. The risk. It's above risk factors for body weight and fitness. If you have two choices, fit or fat, pick fit every time. This is an interesting study that Steve Blair and his co-workers did based on the Cooper Clinic database of basically, 14 years, 24 years of work, looking at more than almost 3,400 deaths over 500,000 man-years of exposure, and this is in men. This is not in women. Because they didn't have enough women in the database to really analyze statistically. And what they found is that swimming activity obviously decreases the risk factor of death from all causes by 56% from sedentary individuals. It decreases it by more than half from walkers. But the remarkable thing is that it decreased the risk of death even below that of runners. Remarkably interesting study. Now, that said, it only looked at 11 deaths out of 562 male swimmers. 11 deaths, and so Steve's study has been criticized by some folks in the industry saying, well, you hardly had any deaths. Steve said, I know that. But what if I'd had 0 deaths? Would it be less valid even then? So the reality is it does make a difference. Swimming makes a difference for reasons that I'll hopefully explain a little bit. Cardiorespiratory fitness is an independent risk factor for cardiovascular and all-cause mortality. It's more important than smoking, obesity, diabetes, high lipids, and hypertension. Low values are associated with a risk of disability and decreased cognitive function and quality of life. It turns out, basically, we measure cardiorespiratory fitness by oxygen consumption capacity. A sedentary individual, by the age of 70 on average, has an aerobic capacity of around 17. That's exceedingly low. To live independently as a human being requires an aerobic capacity of about 13. So somebody that is living a sedentary lifestyle by the not so ripe old age of 70 is dangerously close to losing their ability to live independently. A very brief period, 6 weeks of training, 3 times a week, will raise that oxygen consumption capacity to almost 30. So more than doubling the level required to live independently. We are designed as human beings to be very efficient in how quickly our bodies adapt to training. We are also capable of sedentary lifestyles with a dangerous frequency. Normal masters athletes run a cardiorespiratory fitness level around 50, somewhere in that range.